Hey, what's up, good people, and welcome to another episode of Brandon's Comedy Bomb Show. I am your host, Brandon Phillips, and today I have hilarious actor, producer, writer, Kelly Landry, who is show-running an animated series with Will Arnett that is going to be airing in July on Quibi. So check it out and give it up for the hilarious Kelly Landry. Hey! What is up?
Yeah, I didn't hear you. I was like, "Oh, are we started?" Great.
Yeah. The audio doesn't kick in immediately sometimes. It's weird.
Got it.
What is up?
How are you, Brandon? It's so good to see you. Look at you in like a real stand-up show background.
I mean, I had to, give it the full ambiance of what it's like for us.
I love it. How's my
Oh, you look great. Your lighting's great. You're looking beautiful.
I brought my own mic.
You brought and you got your dog on deck?
Oh yeah, this is Mikey. He's super chill. He's very into being on camera.
I can see that. Yeah.
He's a road dog.
Camera ready, I can see.
Yep, wagging his tail.
Yeah. I love it. Yo, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate you.
Of course. Thanks for inviting me. I was so pumped.
Absolutely. So look, let's just get right into it. We ain't waste no time here on Brandon's Comedy Bomb Show. So first off, where are you from?
I'm from China, Maine.
China, Maine. Wow.
Yeah, it's actually called China. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Never have
middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Dope. And how long have you been in LA for?
I've been in LA 11, 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved from Maine, went to college in New York, and then moved straight from New York out to Los Angeles. Wow. So I've been here, a while now. I got as far away from Maine as I could get. I love it, but
yeah.
Well, people here are like, don't you, in Maine, people are like, don't you get used to just like having the same weather all the time in LA and no seasons? And I'm like, I love that. Like perfect weather all the time. No, I don't get sick of that.
I hate waking up and the sun is like shining. It just bothers the shit out of me.
I know. Oh God, I hate being able to go to the beach and on a hike and then to work all in the same day. It's terrible.
I know,
it's the
right?
worst.
Wow. Okay, so you've been out here a little minute. You're
Yep.
activated. So how long have you been doing stand-up for?
Oof, I've been doing stand-up, I think for 10 years, 10 probably.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started in LA, then you didn't start.
No, I was in New York. I was studying theater at NYU, and I was like, I'm going to be like a very dramatic, serious actress.
Right.
And then I came out to LA, and I did like 3 auditions for Entourage, where it was like hot secretary number 2.
Right.
And I remember like a lot. Yeah, no, really. And I remember I was auditioning to be Marvel. Who created Marvel Comics? Why am I blanking? Stanley.
Stanley. Okay, I thought.
Yeah, it's Marvel, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if anybody's watching and like.
No, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I thought you meant like the Marvel like MCU. I was like, oh, Kevin Feige.
Oh yeah, no, Marvel Comics. Well, he was on Entourage, and I was auditioning to be his secretary, like when Vince is waiting to go into his office.
Right.
And I remember the line was, Vince, they'll see you now. Like that was it. That was the line. Vince, he's ready for you. Vince, they'll see you now. Something like that. And so I'm sitting there and there's literally like, I don't know, 70 girls lined up in the audition, like in the hallway waiting to go in. And everyone's like super serious. Like everyone looks exactly like me, but like the blonde version, the brunette, the redhead, like the black, Asian, like every type of like this girl.
Right.
And everyone's like so serious in their head being like, Vince, we'll see you now, Vince. We'll see you now. Like, and I was just like, God, there has got to be something else.
Right.
I did not get the part. And then I was like, I'm not going to stand out in all these girls, because there's always hotter people than you. I was like, God, I'm not going to win.
Right.
I was like, I feel like I got to do something more. And that's I think that was kind of a wake up call. Cause like growing up in Maine, you're used to being the big fish in the small pond.
Right.
In Maine, like I say this sometimes in my stand up, like in Maine, I was a 10. Like I was
Right.
smoking hot. Like
Right.
this right here in Maine is like 10. And then it's like, there should be a sign warning you when you get off the plane at LAX. It should be like, welcome to LA. Your 10s are 2. Get used to it. Because I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to rely on just my looks here.
No. Some can, which is weird. Some actually do, but I know because I've come from a small town as well, so I get that mindset of, you know, big fish, small pond. Now big fish swimming with sharks.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like big fish with sharks and submarines.
Right.
Battleships.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a strong, solid 10 years of doing stand-up.
Yeah. Well, and I actually have, it's been interesting because I started out, you know, dabbling in stand-up. You know, when you start out, you do like a show once a month and you're like, I'm a stand-up. And then you realize, you go through that like realization, like, oh no, like stand-ups do like 2 shows a night.
Like I gotta put the work in.
Yes. Yeah. And so then I got really into it, was doing shows and traveling, doing shows. I hosted it, and I also hosted and produced a show at Club Nokia, which was awesome downtown. And then I got into writing, like directing and show running. And so then I've kind of been on and off. Whenever I'm on a series, directing or show running, I kind of have to put stand up on the back burner a bit.
Yeah, it's difficult to juggle that. It's so demanding and then when you're on set and be like, let me rush to the club at 10 o'clock at night and try to, you know, get something really quick or put some work. And it's difficult. It's
tough because I think, and that really is kind of soul crushing, because when you're when you're really passionate about, you know, a show you're creating or something else you're doing, and then you're just trying to do stand up to do it, it's always bad because you never have new material. And you get up on stage and you're like, I'm going to do this bit that I don't even relate to anymore.
Right.
Just to get up. And I was like, that's not why you love stand up. That's not the point.
Right.
And I found that I started doing that. There was a couple of years where I was just doing the shows to be like, check, I did a show. I'm still in the comedy scene.
Right. Yeah.
When I wasn't improving. I was phoning it in. And then you get mad at yourself because you're like, why am I saying stuff I don't even believe anymore? You feel, you know, and it's bad. The crowd can tell, you can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get it. Trust me, I get it. I've taken those breaks as well and then forced myself back on. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Something's not hitting the way that it used to. You know, it's like you got to be in the trenches. You got to get in there. So.
Yeah. How long have you been doing stand-up?
Oh, man, I have been doing stand-up for about 6 years, 6 years, something like that.
Nice.
Because I took some time, like some breaks off or whatever. So I say like, you know, 6 to 7 years, somewhere in there.
Yeah, and we met, what, was it 2014?
14, yeah.
UBS Diversity Showcase, baby.
It's been a minute. I know. Time has flown by.
Yeah. I'm just, for everybody watching, I'm not considered diverse. I was diverse because I was a writer.
Yes.
And they reminded us multiple times, like, there's no female writers, so like, at least you're writing. Remember they used to say that to the women?
Yeah. Shout out to Fern. Shout out to Fern, who is just, oh my God. Oh, those are good memories. Those are great memories. Learned a lot.
But it brought us together.
But yeah, no, and the good thing about that, honestly, for me, was the relationships I built with past. Like, honestly, like everybody, like the knit is a family. There's like, I can call, like I said, anybody and be like, hey, but you know, and so that's what's dope about that, you know. That's the thing that I took out, I think, for me the most, was those relationships, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it just puts a group of people together that you rise in groups.
Absolutely. So Kelly, tell me about your most memorable time bombing on stage.
Okay. Well, it was probably like 2013, 14. And it was a comedy show at O'Brien's in Santa Monica. Do you know that place? It's a little bar, little Irish bar.
Yeah, no, I've only done West Side Comedy, so I've never done,
Well, and this is like, there were multiple things leading up to this that I was setting myself up to fail. Because, you know, Yeah, and I just, when you just keep powering through and you're just like, ooh, I just kept going. I just did it.
Nails to the chest.
Yeah. Well, I had got invited to do the show. I was really excited about it because sometimes it can be like a really good bar show. Like there can be like 50 people there. It used to be really good some nights. And I was so excited, but I was still like on the lower level where they want you to blast it out on your social and invite people. And it's not a bringer. You didn't need to bring people, but they always want you to blast it out.
Right.
And so I was blasting it out. And sometimes I hate that because if you want to try new material, you need to blast the show out to like support the show, but also you're like, hopefully like nobody I know has come because I just trying stuff out and I don't want, I just want to like have fun and like not worry about someone seeing me for the first time that I know.
Right. Like I don't want to have to worry about killing it every time.
Right. Oh, it's a burden. And so I blasted it out and I was dating this guy at the time and I'd met a bunch of his friends like one time.
Yeah.
And his guy friends, he was out of town, but his guy friends all lived in Santa Monica. And his guy friends saw on my Instagram that I was doing a show and they're like, dude, let's go see Kelly. Let's go see, our bro's girlfriend. It's right down the street. And so they all like, we're coming. And they said this to me like 10 minutes before I was going to go on stage. Like, and so, when you have in your mind all the stuff you're going to do.
You know what? Yeah, absolutely.
And then you hear that, oh, people are coming. And I cared way too much what they were going to think. It was like, I'm young. I had like an older boyfriend and his friends who I thought were super cool.
Yeah.
Like I needed them. I needed them to think I was funny.
Right.
So instead of doing like the new material that I was super into at the time, I was like, I'm going to go back to the classics, the bangers,
Right out of my back pocket. These I know hit every time.
Exactly. And so I went on stage and people were like crushing before me because they were like feeling the vibe and reading the room. And I just went on with like blinders on, like gonna crush, gonna do my stand up. Everyone's gonna love this, like not feeling the energy at all. At all. So totally everything, totally read the crowd wrong. I was doing jokes that I hadn't like gone over in my head that night. But I just knew, I was like, oh yeah, that joke kills. But I always kind of rehearse a set and like, vibe through it before I get on stage. I hadn't done that because I like switched it up.
Right.
Got on, just powering through, not getting laughs. And there was one joke about, I was like, okay, there's some girls in the crowd. I have a joke about like bikini waxes.
Right.
And like how every girl, uses bikini wax. And I was like, you know what I'm talking about, right? Trying to like connect with the women. And they were like, no, we don't approve. Like, we don't condone that. And I was like, okay, cool. So we got some natural bitches up in the house. Like, that's cool too. So it was like the group that I was like, these are the people. Like, these are the people that will get me. Not at all. I was like texting and dating and like bikini waxes, and they're like, actually, like we're not into that, the societal standards of beauty for women. And I was like, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
In Santa Monica.
In Santa Monica, yes.
And how many? So, in I've never done this room, but how many people were? It was a packed house that night.
It was like 30. Which in LA for a bar show is good. And 30 people who were listening, like sitting in a room looking at a stage listening, not like people hanging out at the bar.
Right.
And so I just failed. I try to do crowd work, like recycled canned crowd work bits that, like you reuse crowd work because it worked one time and it's never works again.
No.
So then,
it's crowd work for that moment. Like it's, it's like engaging with the crowd.
Right. It was just all bad. And his friends were there like watching, and I'm just like, when you start in your head seeing your set, like when you're on stage, you're like, oh God, like this is terrible. But instead of stopping and like acknowledging it, you just keep pushing through. That's what I did. And then after the show, the other comics, I'm standing there talking to his friends, and the other comics are standing around me. Everybody's coming up, walking straight past me and going to other comics being like, great show, oh my God, you were so funny, like you were so good. And then, so I'm just, and people walk past me and they're like, oh, hey, good stuff. Oh, hey. And then they see me standing there like expectantly because I'm
right.
Need the approval. They're like, oh yeah, good stuff, hey. And then to the next person, you were amazing. I loved that joke you did. And so I'm standing there, and then there's another group of girls in the corner and I see them kind of like looking at me and like smiling and talking. And, you know, I'm still standing with my boyfriend's friends. And they're like, oh yeah, those girls. I was like, oh yeah, they seemed into it. And the girls walking over and I was like, oh yeah, thinking like, here, good. Someone's going to come tell me how funny I am in front of these people. So she's walking over and she goes, oh my God, I loved, and I jumped the gun. I was like, thank you so much. I'm so glad you, and she goes, your jeans.
Yo.
Okay, cool. Cool. She's like, where did you get them? Oh my, and I was like, yep, this is what I deserve. This is
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, that is, oh God, that is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I love your
jeans.
Cool, but you had already accepted.
I had already moved on to like, thank you so much. I'm so glad you liked it. Like, oh my God, that means so much. And then like, she's like, your jeans. I was like, cool. I love your jeans. Great.
Oh God. Oh.
Yeah. And the people that were with me knew that I thought she was going to say, like, we love your set. We love, and so it was just embarrassing all around. It was embarrassing.
Wow.
It was like a bomb on stage that I could have like, would have been okay if I had just left after.
Right. Oh my God.
You know when you hang around for like validation that you know that you're not going to get, but you like just wait to see, like to convince yourself it wasn't that bad when you know it was? Like,
you like just... like even so even when you when you got off stage, when you're like, all right guys, my name's Kelly Landry, thank you guys for coming out.
Yeah.
No, like was it like?
Yeah, I mean it was like, you know when people do the woo, like the we feel bad for you.
We feel bad for you, please.
But it was like the guy before me was like, whoa, yeah, like laughing. It was like clearly I got like way less, like. And then you kind of have to, you know, as you sit and hang out and watch other people, and then the next one gets even more applause, and you're just like, oh, it's not just that the crowd cooled off.
Right. And then the dude you were dating at the time, his friends are like, hey, listen, man, just saw your girl.
Yeah.
You should probably exit this situation. I'm just saying, send.
Yeah, no, well, you know it's bad when all they can say is they're like, when they're, first of all, their voice goes up. It was good. Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, good.
Right.
And then the only compliment they have is, wow, I could never get on stage like that. Or like, wow, it's so brave of you. Like you were so brave.
Right.
And you're like, because, so brave to get up being so terrible.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And it was humbling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So how long after this moment of like barreling through your sets?
My dog's barking.
How long did it take you after that to get back up on the horse, to get back on stage? Like, was it a, you know?
Yeah, well, I did. I got up I think I like sulked for a week, especially since like I knew that my boyfriend's friends had been like, oh yeah, she's okay. But you wanted them to be like, oh, she's so funny.
Right.
Like, they didn't care. Right. They don't care how good I am at stand-up. They don't care at all.
Right.
But to me, it like mattered so much.
Absolutely. You're like, yes, this is gonna, like, dude, your girl. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That are gonna be there supporting you.
Yeah. And then I got up, and then for a while I did not post on social about my shows. Just because, it's like when you post it out, friends see it, and you have to be like, oh my God, come to my show tonight. But secretly you're like, please don't come. Like, nobody come, please don't come.
Right.
You feel like you want to be able to work out material a bit and not have that pressure.
Right.
And I think that's something as a stand-up, like that's a young stand-up. I think I've, matured a little bit since then, where it's like, you just can't care that much.
I think that's like, as comedians, obviously we're like, oh, you're so brave. It's like, no, I just don't care.
Yeah. And that's the hardest to do when you have friends, especially friends that have like heard about your stand-up for so long, but have never come.
Right.
You have to like really like choose a show that you're going to have all those friends come to.
Right.
And know that going in, because otherwise it's just, you don't really get in the grind of like practicing the muscle, like doing it. You're too worried about who's there. Have they ever seen it? What are they going to think?
Right. And that's the thing is we try, like, you know, even in this set, like I know sometimes you're like, okay, you know what? I got this new stuff I'm gonna try. So you start out and then you throw something new in the middle, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna end strong. You were just like, I'm gonna power through these jokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless, I don't even, oh my God.
At that point, it was like just a monologue. It was like, you don't have to do anything. You just sit there. I will just finish my monologue.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, yo, that is hilarious, Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so great.
Can I tell you, just talking about this can I tell you one really quick thing?
Of course, absolutely, please.
This is probably the most humbling experience I've had in stand-up. I was I was the MC for this comic I'm not gonna say his name, but it's this bigger comic in San Francisco. It was at the Punchline.
Okay.
And I was MCing, and so you know how the MC gets up and introduces, does 10, 12 minutes, usually 10 minutes, introduces the feature, and then gets back on stage, introduce the headliner.
Right.
So it was like one of those shows, just MC, feature, headliner.
Right.
And so I go up, did okay, I did pretty good. I was happy with my set. I introduced the feature. The feature comes up and crushes, and like just crushes. And I'm in the green room with the headliner, and we're talking about stand-up and how I got into stand-up. He's like, why don't you get back on? It's great. Why don't you get back on and do another quick 5 to 7 after the feature? And I'm like, whoa, he must have thought I was so funny. Like, this is awesome. So right. I get up after the feature, do another 5, bring up the headliner. I was so proud of myself. I'm telling comics after the fact, like bragging about it. And then someone's like, oh, honey, you shouldn't. And I was like, what? And they're like, no, that's like a known thing when a headliner is about to go on and they're seeing a feature just crushing. Yeah. Sometimes they'll have the MC come up and do another 5 to bring the crowd back down a bit so they can come on and crush.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
They don't want to follow that crush. So they want to bring someone back up in comparison. They're super funny. And so I was that person. And I'm telling people that, like, it's because I'm so good. And they're like, oh yeah.
Good. Oh.
Yeah. And so when I found that out, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And you never, did you ever talk to the
No, because it is like, that's their prerogative. I mean, he's the headliner. He brought me up. I got paid because I was opening for him. You know what I mean? It's his show. Yeah. He can do what he wants. Absolutely. I wasn't mad at that.
Right. Not even get mad, but just be like, probably, you know what I'm saying? Like, be like, hey, man, touche.
Yeah. Well, I was just mad at myself for being so cocky about it.
Right. That's funny. Oh,
like, it's because I'm so good.
I killed this shit. I
killed it so hard they wanted me to come back on stage.
Like a double set.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I'm gonna give you 5 this time. What?
Yeah.
Not even 10 like you did the first time. You're getting 5. You're like, nothing. Say less.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And he was so impressed with my set. Like, he was so impressed by me that he wants his crowd to see more of me.
Right. It's like, hey, listen, do me a favor. Go in there and just kind of bomb a little bit, but not really. Like, do less than the.
Why don't you riff? I'd really love for you to work on your stage work tonight. Why don't you sit up there and riff?
Right. That's funny. Wow. Yo, Kelly, that. Thank you so much, yo. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your hilarious comedy stories. Before we get out of here, I always ask comedians just a couple questions. So, first question is, what important comic lesson would you tell your younger self if you could go back in time?
It would be to not care as much. You cannot care, and you have to speak your truth. You have to be willing to say things that make you uncomfortable. To be vulnerable, to be real. Because if it's not really truthful, I always kind of tiptoed around the stuff that I really wanted to talk about. If you're not really revealing yourself, if anybody else can do your set and make it work, it's a bad set.
Wow, that's good. That's really cool.
But I think it has to be. If any other comic can do it and get the laughs, it's not your set. It's not your set.
Okay, wow, that's dope. That's dope. Okay, and last question. It's kind of similar, piggybacking off of that, but if you had to leave one final piece of advice for the next generation of comics coming up behind you, what would that be?
Help each other out. It's not a competition. There's enough success for everyone. Just 'cause your buddy gets a spot doesn't mean there's not room for you on the next one. I think at least, and I think that it's depending on the people, but I think there's a lot of competition among stand-ups and keeping track and scores. And I think it's like, let's just all celebrate each other's successes and help each other out. And find your crew and have fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree. I think there's enough, stage time out there, for all of us, and, so that's good. That's really good. Thank you so much, Kels. Thank you
Brandon.
for sharing. That was a hilarious story. I appreciate you. So before we get out of here, if you want to share anything or where they can find your social media and all that stuff, and anything you got coming up to watch.
Cool. Yeah. You can find my Instagram at Kelly Landry Live, Twitter at Kelly Landry. And then I am show running a project for Quibi. It's an animated comedy series with horoscopes. If you like horoscopes, you get your actual horoscope delivered within the comedy, which is cool.
That's dope.
And it's Will Arnett executive produced that as well. So it should be super cool. It's coming out on Quibi on July 6th. So,
all right.
Or I guess I'll say, like, if this airs after that, like, it's coming out on Quibi, it will be on Quibi this summer. So check it out.
There you go. Thank you, Kaz. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Brandon.
And, see you soon.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.